Hello again, my wonderful friends and fellow General Hospital watchers. Today is a gorgeous day, and I am so incredibly excited to sit down, pour a fresh cup of coffee, and talk with you about the absolute roller coaster coming our way. I have so many feelings bubbling up inside me that I simply cannot hold them back any longer. Let us dive right into the heart of the story together. My heart just aches so deeply for Curtis Ashford right now, and I can hardly stand to think about what he is going through behind those cold, unforgiving prison bars. Imagine being locked away from everything and everyone you love, completely cut off from the warmth of your family. He must be lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, thinking about Desmond, Trina, and Jordan. The physical distance is one thing, but the emotional toll of not being there to protect and provide for his loved ones is surely eating him alive from the inside out. Curtis has always been a man of action, a protector who steps up when his family needs him, and seeing him stripped of that power is just devastating. The isolation alone would be enough to break a weaker man, but knowing Curtis, he is trying to hold on to his strength for the sake of his family on the outside. But just when we thought Curtis was already facing his darkest hour, the writers are throwing a massive, terrifying curveball his way. The realization that Jen Sidwell is going to be his cellmate absolutely sends shivers down my spine. We all know the kind of power and danger Sidwell possesses, and having a man like that locked in a small room with Curtis is a recipe for absolute disaster. The tension in that cell is going to be thick enough to cut with a knife. I find myself pacing the floor just wondering what Sidwell's game plan is going to be. Will he try to recruit Curtis as an ally in some dark, twisted scheme? Or, even worse, will he use his outside connections to threaten Trina and Jordan just to keep Curtis under his thumb? The stakes for Curtis have never been higher, and I am so worried that he is going to be forced into an impossible corner. If Sidwell is secretly plotting an elaborate prison escape and decides to drag Curtis into the chaos, it could completely destroy any chance Curtis has at getting parole. I just want to reach through the screen and tell Curtis to keep his head down. But we all know that if Sidwell threatens the people Curtis loves, he will have no choice but to fight back. The idea of Curtis losing his shot at freedom and being trapped in this nightmare forever because of Sidwell's manipulations is just heartbreaking. It is a terrifying waiting game, and I am on the edge of my seat praying that Curtis can outsmart this dangerous villain without losing his own soul in the process. Meanwhile, my heart is incredibly heavy for our beloved Laura Collins. She is preparing for a trip to Ireland to visit Kevin and hopefully bring sweet little Ace Cassadine back home to Port Charles, where he belongs. Laura has always been the fierce, loving matriarch who holds everything together, and bringing her family back under one roof is always her top priority. But there is a dark cloud hanging over this trip, and I cannot shake the terrible feeling of dread in my stomach. The spoilers are hinting at severe marital trouble, and the very thought of Laura and Kevin facing a divorce is enough to bring tears to my eyes. They have been through so much together, and to see their beautiful bond fracturing just breaks my heart into a million pieces. I cannot help but wonder what on earth is keeping Kevin in Dublin for another semester. Is he hiding something terrible from Laura? The absolute worst fear is that Kevin has met another woman, and if he looks Laura in the eye and asks for a divorce, I honestly do not know how she will survive that kind of betrayal. Laura has endured so much pain and loss throughout her life, and she deserves a peaceful, loving marriage in her golden years. If she walks into that situation in Ireland expecting a joyful reunion and instead gets hit with a devastating betrayal, the shockwaves are going to be felt by everyone who loves her. A heartbreak for Laura is a heartbreak for all of Port Charles, and this trip feels like a ticking time bomb that is going to leave our dear Laura completely shattered. On a completely different but equally intense note, I am so deeply unsettled by what is happening with Anna Devane. Our brilliant, fearless Anna is being haunted by the voice of Peter August, and it is just chilling to the bone. Peter caused so much trauma, destruction, and sheer terror when he was alive, and the fact that his toxic presence is still lingering in Anna's mind is a tragic reminder of the scars he left behind. Hearing those hallucinations must be absolute torture for her. Yet, In true Anna fashion, she is refusing to let the darkness consume her. Instead, she is desperately trying to piece together the puzzle of the plot to eliminate Britt Westbourne. Anna's determination to find justice for Britt is so admirable, but I worry so much about her mental state as she wades back into these dark, dangerous waters. Speaking of danger, I am practically holding my breath, worrying about sweet Trina Robinson. That poor girl has been through more trauma than anyone her age should ever have to endure, and now there is a stalker lurking in the shadows, watching her every move. It makes my skin crawl just thinking about someone invading her life like that. But the immediate terror right now is focused on Kai Taylor. The stalker is preparing to strike, and Kai's life is hanging by a thread. I am so scared for him, and I know that if anything happens to Kai, Trina will carry the guilt of it forever, even though it is absolutely not her fault. The suspense is unbearable, and I just pray that someone figures out who this monster is before Kai pays the ultimate price. Then we have Hudson Parker, who is digging up secrets that are going to blow families wide open. The realization that he seems to have figured out Phoebe Chase is actually Delilah Wilson's baby is a massive bombshell. I can only imagine the gears turning in Hudson's head right now as he decides what his next move will be. This kind of explosive secret has the power to destroy lives, and with Chase already so deeply entangled in the stress of his own investigations, this baby revelation is going to send shockwaves through the entire community. I am so anxious to see how Hudson uses this information. Will he use it as a weapon, or will he try to handle it with care? Knowing the drama in Port Charles, I am bracing myself for an absolute explosion, and oh, the absolute mess that is happening over at the Quartermaine estate. Willow Kane moving back in with Michael Corinthos feels less like a romantic reunion and more like walking into a gilded cage. I am so frustrated with Michael right now. His insistence on playing strictly by his own rules is driving a massive wedge between them. You can just feel Willow's suffocation through the screen. She has been through so much, and instead of finding comfort, she is being met with rigid control. It is no wonder that Michael's behavior is pushing her to the brink, making her resentful and, frankly, much more reckless. When a woman feels trapped and unheard in her own marriage, she starts making desperate choices, and I fear Willow is about to spiral completely out of control. This brings me to the tragic, unconditional love of Nina Reeves. Bless her heart, Nina just cannot let go of her daughter, no matter how much pain it causes her. Jack Brennan is trying so hard to protect Nina, practically begging her to step back and shield herself from Willow's messy, destructive choices. Brennan is putting his own life and freedom on the line because he cares for Nina, but Nina's maternal instinct is a blind spot that she simply cannot overcome. She will never abandon Willow, even if it means dragging herself and Brennan right down into the mud with her. It is a beautiful but deeply tragic kind of love, and I am so worried that Willow's escalating recklessness is going to cause a catastrophic fallout that ruins all of their lives. Finally, we have to talk about the sweet, innocent spark blossoming between Scout Quartermaine and Rocco Falconeri. In the midst of all this heavy, dark drama, seeing these two teenagers find comfort and connection in each other is such a breath of fresh air. Rocco is such a good boy, and he is providing Scout with a safe space to vent about her family frustrations. It is the kind of pure, young love that makes you smile. But my heart sinks when I think about Drew Kane finding out Drew has become so controlling, so rigid about who Scout is allowed to see. The moment he realizes his daughter is dating the grandson of Sonny Corinthos, he is going to absolutely hit the roof. Drew's vendettas and his desperate need for control are going to ruin this beautiful thing his daughter has found. I can already see the screaming matches, the tears, and the harsh ultimatums. Drew will undoubtedly forbid Scout from seeing Rocco, which will only push her further away and ignite a massive teenage rebellion. The sins and feuds of the parents are once again bleeding into the lives of their children, and it is just so unfair to Scout and Rocco. I am strapping in for a wildly emotional week, my friends, because Port Charles is about to be turned completely upside down, and I will be right here feeling every single heartbeat of it with all of you